DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Yes, we are there. We are live. Yay! Oh, my goodness gracious. You know, going from this set to that set, back to this set, and then, you know, to get that Stowe character on his way.
Yeah, you got to get him out of there. He won't shut up. He's got to go.
It's like, hey, man, there's deer coming for you if you don't get... We're sending the deer in after you. Oh, crazy, crazy. So thank you for joining us. We are broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube tonight. We are going to be following the chat and such on the YouTube. I put the link, if you're watching on Facebook, I put that in the chat for Facebook, but that's the YouTube chat, or the YouTube one. Go there because we can follow that one. So, well, DJ Brandon, good night, guys. He's leaving already? We just started. We might say something like intelligent. I feel so bad. He's leaving us.
Bye.
And you know what? I think Brandon's a younger guy anyway, so he's probably needing to get his rest.
Perhaps.
Not like the rest of us, where we get to, you know, we don't have to get up super early in the morning, but we do because we're old, mainly because
the older you get, the less rest you need. I've heard this.
Exactly. So we can, and then we have to make sure we're there early enough for the, you know, the afternoon dinner specials, and then get home so we can watch Wheel of Fortune. I mean, we've got a big day tomorrow. Big day tomorrow. So tonight we're going to talk about the let's see, how to be picking the right gear for the gig. And this is actually, Brian, something, a topic. I don't know why we haven't jumped on this one before, because this is a huge question. I mean, especially right now when people are looking at speakers and they're, can it do this? Can this? Oh my gosh. Why we didn't jump on this a long time ago.
Here we are. Let's tackle it today.
Let's deal with that. So we'll be doing questions and such. If you've got something you'd like to know or something you want to share, please put that in the chat here on YouTube. Yes, we will be doing our final drawing of the night. And you know what? I'm going to have to... You're going to have to carry the show for a second, because I've got to go around this little desk here to find out exactly which Newmark item we're giving away. Because, you know...
I can do that.
Yeah, so I'll be right back. I'm going to go check, because I don't know if it's a Newmark Party Mix or if it's the Party Mix Pro.
Just go handle it. I'll take care of it.
I'll be right back.
It's all good. So, yeah, hello, everybody. I guess tonight we're going to be talking about different systems and their capabilities as far as what's going to work well for you at the type of event that you're doing. I did actually a video about this in the DJ Video Cave just the other day, asking people what their systems were and what the capabilities of those systems actually are, or what they feel they actually are. Sometimes this isn't something that's particularly written in stone. It really depends on your application and your objections as a sound technician, and we'll use that word here today, sound technician. Of course, the bad part about all of this is I just explained all of this to you. You should understand it, but now I have to tell John what we talked about. So we'll see how that goes.
Wonderful.
But no, anyway, so yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And don't tell John I said any of that stuff.
Shh.
Don't hurt his feelings.
Don't ruin a surprise for me. Okay, so we're going to be giving away a Newmark Party Mix Pro, which is a DJ controller with a built-in light show and a speaker all in one. So it's this portable little system that's going to be really a nice little system for practicing and to be able to do some different things with that. And actually, I was looking at that and it's like, my teenage son who wants to start practicing and such, first thing we had to do is drag the controller in the house to his room. Then he had to come out and get some speakers and drag those into there. And then all the wiring because he forgot a wire and he did it. It's like, gosh, having all in one would be really kind of cool. So the Newmark's Party Mix Pro will be our prize going out tonight here. So we'll get more information on that as we're going on with our show.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So we're going to talk about speaker configurations or lighting or both, John. What are we going to talk about?
I think we could hit almost everything because there's really a having the right gear, I think is something that when we first started, we didn't really care. It's like, okay, this is what I've got and this is what you're going to get. In my very first system, that meant you're going to get 8 floodlight bulbs that are screwed onto a 2x4 board, and I've got light switches over here to turn them on and off. Dimmer.
Right.
What do you mean dimmer? Aiming the lights? What do you mean aiming the lights? Those days I think are long gone, and the idea of customizing to make things fit in your application is so.
It's funny because when you think about it, the bands looked at us as such a consolation prize at one time, where if you couldn't afford a band, you ended up with a DJ by default, and they didn't expect much out of us. Where today, and we've been doing this for so long. I mean, we're a good 40 years in as far as being a real force in this market of entertainment, doing mobile stuff. We've come a long way. There are folks out there who really know their stuff. There are people out there who put a lot of pride into what they do. Neatness, sound quality, their lighting it's very thoughtful stuff. It's not just throwing it together and saying, here's what you get. This is totally not what we're doing these days.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a weird from where we started. And I even talking to some younger DJs, and it's kind of a foreign concept. It's like, when I was your age and I was just starting out, I was just happy if I could have songs. I could play like 4 songs in a row without any dead air whatsoever. Again, because, thinking about some of the things we were using when we first started, if you weren't using a turntable and into that with that skill ability, well, we were, initially it was 2 tape decks or a home turntable, and you were going through that, that Kenwood amp from the home stereo system. I mean, that's what those first few shows were. So it's like, okay, tape input, yeah. The phono input, yeah. And you'd have that click, click between each song. Yeah. And now today the kids are like, okay, this is my very first gig. Great. I want to try to do it. So I'm going to have my beats flow and I want to go an hour without, going out of beat with any of my songs. And they can do it and do it very easily. It's like, dude, I was happy I didn't pee on myself. Okay. That was my first gig. I just didn't want to.
Right. Yeah. It's a culture thing, I think, in the US with, I don't know. When I was a kid, we didn't sing a lot in school, and singing always made me very uncomfortable in front of people. But these kids grew up singing in class, and even my daughter and my nieces and nephews, way back 20, 30 years ago, were listening to the Disney sing-along songs on VHS, and it was a very normal thing to do. So it's almost like this whole generation grew up ready for show business.
I definitely, I could definitely see that, and even when I was going in through the teaching in the late '80s and early '90s, when you're going through the program, music and singing was something as an elementary teacher that they were really saying is that for some kids this is a great thing. For other kids who aren't going to be musical, this is an almost more important thing because they're opening them up to things and getting them doing something in front of their peers that if they don't do it and start doing it at this age, that becomes this barrier that as they get older and they won't be able to be comfortable talking to someone for the first time at a job interview. And those things were such a big part of it. And I guess I never thought about it that way, but you really do have this generation. Hence, when you give them a cell phone, a selfie, or a cell phone and a Facebook Live account, they're happy and comfortable. Yeah, so today you'll never guess what happened to me. I went to
Yeah,
the
public speaking is not an issue anymore.
precisely. It's public shutting up that becomes more of an
Yeah,
issue.
please. A little bit of that would be nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's I think part of it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information out there now. We have the internet. We can share now. This is great. So, yeah, there are different systems, be it lighting or sound or setups in general, that are going to be ideal for different events. There's really not a one size fits all like there used to be. And like you said, John, in the old days, these are our speakers, these are our lights. This is what we bring to every event, whether it's 750 people or 75 people. This is the system you get, because that's what I have.
Yep, I remember those days. What? You mean I don't need to drag my 18-inch subwoofers up these steps for that 20-person party upstairs? But that's what I've got.
But that's what I have. That's what I use. Right. Yeah. Very different today.
Yeah.
And I've got several different systems here for sound that I use for different applications, doing different types of sound reinforcement for different types of events. And I probably have more than most, but I know there are people out there who have a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I've talked to some DJs, and granted, you and I do have a variety of different sound systems for applications, but there's guys out there who have got like, oh, well, this will need my 9-iron sound system, that kind of thing, and you're like, what?
Wow.
Well, yeah. See, I've got this for this application, this for this. It's like 10 different sound systems, and yeah, great, yeah, rah rah. But goodness, I know my budget committee, she wouldn't be too happy with me going and saying, oh, I need to have a sound system to play on Thursday afternoons for 17 people. That sound system will do that, and I need that one for that application. Yeah, wouldn't go well.
The hard part is to know where to start with all this, and maybe the best place to start would be talking about systems that are the most versatile. I think maybe that might be the best place to start, and then we can start talking about some more of the specialty systems that are out there.
Sure.
What do you think, John?
I think that's a great idea. We can definitely, because that versatility is something that, and there's a level of that I think is subjective from person to person, but each system is they do have strengths and weaknesses. There's just no perfect system.
Well, if we talk about a 12-inch top cabinet or a 12-inch PA speaker, where it's a 12-inch woofer and a horn, it's two-way.
Yep.
They're not all created equal.
No, and I've been listening to a bunch of them on the other side, and you guys are going to get to see the videos here in a little while, and no, not created equal whatsoever.
They are not. But I will say that this type of speaker is probably going to be your most versatile as a mobile DJ. And when we talk about speaker sizes, there are a lot of different schools of thought out there. There are typically, you have 15s, you have 12s. Sometimes you end up with a 10 and an 8 as well.
Yep.
And occasionally you'll get something strange like a 14. It happens. FBT has a 14. And it's like, a what? Yeah, it's a 14. So what's the best one to go with? Do you have that answer, John?
That's a very tough one, because I think if you were going to have something that would kind of cover a variety, maybe a larger swath of events, the 15-inch two-way cabinet would probably be, as a category. But the 12-inch has some benefits. It can still do this. It can do the smaller events. It can do large events. 12-inch cabinets or the smaller woofer cabinets tend to have a little bit wider dispersion, so they have some advantages there. Size-wise, the 12-inch, of course, is a little easier to handle, and they can make a little bass. I mean, you're not completely without bass. Not
right. Real quick, DJ Brandon's like, there's a 14. Yes. Yeah. FBT makes a Pro Max 14A. Look it up.
Yeah.
They're out there. It's like I said, it's an oddball, but it's out there.
And it doesn't, as you look at it, it doesn't look much bigger than a typical 12.
No, it's not. And that was the whole point. We can put a 14-inch speaker in this 12-inch cabinet that's built for 12-inch. We couldn't put a 15, but we could put a 12 in. So that speaker was available, and they used it, and they still use it, and it's a very popular speaker for them.
And Brandon, then bigger is better. That's one of the things when Ben Stone and I have talked about the different, and we specifically Evie, is that, the preference in some of our applications and tests, we really like the 12 over the 15 top because of how it was voiced. So it isn't always bigger is better when it comes to the sound quality of a speaker.
I'm never going to argue with Ben Stowe. It's just a dumb thing to do. and I'm not going to do it today. But I will throw this out there. Anytime anybody asks me that question, it doesn't matter what they're looking at. If they're looking at EV, FBT, RCF, JBL, Avante. When they say, do I get the 15 or do I get the 12? I usually always push them toward the 12. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so this is a two-way cabinet. You have a horn on top and you have the woofer on the bottom. The horn, usually, in most cases, not all, but most cases, when you're talking about the same line of speakers, whatever that might be it an EKX line or ETX line or whatever, the horn's not different. And most of the time, the amp's not even different, but the woofer is. So as far as that throw that you're looking for the treble, it's not going to change. What does change, though, is how that 12-inch speaker produces what they call mid-bass. Most people who I've talked to who are a lot smarter than me have told me that if we're going to turn this into a three-way system, meaning we're going to put a subwoofer on the bottom and then we're going to put a top cab on the top, the best thing to do, regardless of what size woofer you go with, is to put the 12-inch cabinet up there instead of a 15 or even a 10 or an 8. And the reason is that mid bass is so much tighter on the 12 in most cases. And that's the punchy stuff you hear in dance music. The bass is, the really low frequency stuff that you're hearing coming out of Honda Civic trunks. That's your bass. Where the that's mid bass. And because of physics, and I don't know much about physics, and Ben's not here to tell us all about it, for some reason the 12 is punchier. It's tighter. Where the 15 sometimes tends to get a little more muddy. That's what I've heard. And that's my story. I'm going with it.
Yeah, I could definitely, because I've done tests out here where we've set up the sub and we ran the 15 above it and we ran the 12 above it from the same line of speakers. And you can definitely hear that there is a difference. And again, I like that matchup of the 18 sub with a 12 to a top, just because of the bass situation.
You could even do a 15-inch sub with a 12 top. I mean, usually the bigger the subwoofer, the better. Big speaker, big boom, that's pretty much, and if you want a lot of sound, that's fine. But that's regardless of as to what size that woofer is on bottom, the subwoofer. Up top, that punchy mid bass, the punchy stuff. I've been told by people much smarter than me that in general, especially on the good stuff, the 12 is going to produce a tighter mid bass. And if you are indeed running it in a three-way config, you want that tight mid bass. You usually save a little bit of money too. So the 15 is going to cost a little more. It's going to be heavier as well. It's going to take up a bigger footprint in your vehicle. So going 12 saves you space, saves you money, saves your back, and in general, from again what I've been told by people smarter than me, it ends up giving you a nicer overall sound in a three-way config.
Very, very much so. Let's see. Someone had a. Kyle was asking a line array versus a standard top cabinet.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He line array versus a standard top cab.
We'll talk about that.
So let's keep that question.
Okay, are we now as far as the big concert arrays that they're flying from trussing?
Well, we can talk about the difference, what the two things can do. So we'll come back to that one, Brian. But I just want to let Kyle know that we will get back to that question. I just I just copied and pasted it and such because there's some things that we can talk about.
We will talk about that for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I think that the let's say 12-inch top with some type of subwoofer. I'm a 15 guy. I don't go 18.
Sure.
There aren't many times that I feel like that I need that much bass.
And it was actually one of my disappointments with just Electro Voice because they're a large sponsor. Not too many times am I disappointed with Electro Voice, but they came out with the ELX 200 series. They did a 12 and they did an 18. They avoided that 15. And I know I looked at that and it's like, Lori, my wife, who's a smaller stature person than myself, a 15-inch sub still gives you a good hit, still gives you a great quality sound, in some ways better at some frequencies than the 18, and it's easier for her to move. And it's like, well, that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping with this new line of speakers to get her into those so that way we could be doing videos on those in the field. And it's like, oh.
Sure. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't own an 18. I haven't owned an 18 for a very long time. I'll go 215s, but most of the time what I'm doing is I'm running 12s. And I've talked about this before, and this is a personal preference, something I found out completely by mistake. When I built that micro system after I had my stroke, the speaker that I found that worked really well for me was an 8-inch two-way cabinet. And it's plenty powerful. Sounded great. Obviously lacking bass. But, my first thought when I built the system in the first place was, there's no reason I should be turning down things like car shows and smaller events. If I have a small enough system that I can just take out and do these small events with, I wouldn't need to turn them down or try to hire somebody to come along with me. If I can handle a little system, something tiny, I'm not trying to do a typical wedding. I'm trying to do just car shows and stuff by myself. That would be an accomplishment. Well, on Facebook, everybody, or on YouTube, I guess when I was talking about building this system, you got to put a sub on it. I'm like, oh, Jesus. I got one arm. I got one leg. I don't know. So I actually talked to Ben Stowe. I said, what's the smallest subwoofer out there? Active subwoofer, lightweight, smallest thing you got. And he's like, you got to check out that EV, what is it, ZLX-A1?
Yep, that was a 12-inch sub,
little 12-inch sub. So I bought it through Ben, and it did give me that low end that I was looking for. That bottom end frequency, I guess, that little bottom end.
Yeah.
So I took it out to a gig, and it blew me away. I couldn't believe how well it sounded. Not only did it add that much needed low end fill that I needed, or bottom end fill that I needed, but I noticed something. When I brought some 15s that I had to an event one time, big room, big crowd, I go on the dance floor and it was good and loud. But then when I went to the back of the room to get a soda at the bar, it was boom. I mean, it was shaking the walls. The bass was so sweet back there.
Wow. From a 12?
No, from a 15.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But I was in the back of the room. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The bass is in the wrong place. I don't want it back here. I want it on the dance floor. This is supposed to be my conversation area, and no one's sitting here. They're all in the hallway. There's a reason for that. I chased them away with this big boom. When I worked with the 12, the single 12, I kept the bass right around the dance floor, or very close to it. At the back of the room, you didn't hear it so much. So it was almost like better. It was better for the application, for something like a wedding when you're trying to create hot spots on the dance floor, which we've talked about, and then the quiet zones in the rest of the room. I wasn't chasing anyone away. It was, good and full, but that bass was hitting harder closer to the dance floor than it was at the back of the room. So I discovered that quite by accident. So when I go out with anything bigger than a 12, it's a school dance, or it's a large outdoor event where I just need a lot of sound. It's not a wedding reception. It's not any wedding reception that I've done in a very long time. And typically the ones I'm doing are, I don't know, anywhere from 120 people all the way up to 300 people.
Sure.
I'm not bringing that big sub. It doesn't make sense for that application. For me, that's what I've discovered. And again, that was an accident. I wasn't trying to do that science experiment, but it worked out real well. It's changed my philosophy on things.
You were just kind of talking about numbers at a show, and Twisted Mikey asked about what considered small events. One thing I think that as a DJ, we oh my gosh, there's 400 guests at this wedding. I don't think there's been a time, or very few times in my career, where I've had all the guests on the dance floor at the same time.
Right.
It's generally, if I have 300 guests, I might get 100 on the dance floor, which of course those bodies do soak up sound, and you need to have more than enough gig or the sound and such for that. But it's not like I'm, a percentage is really all you're playing to, and you don't need to be that loud at weddings. I don't understand sometimes when DJs are playing
Right.
ear bleeding loud at a wedding, and
Yeah.
it's like
Well, that's what I'm talking about with the hot spot
Yeah.
and then the cold spot. So the conversation areas for a wedding. Now, I don't want that for a 500 kid school dance.
yeah. Then we're here.
I want the room to be full. Everywhere you go in that room, I want you to hear the sound.
Yeah.
If you want to talk, leave the room.
Yeah. There's the door.
Go in the hall. But yeah, so again, it's sound objectives. This is stuff that people have to think about when they're putting these systems together. Is what are you trying to achieve with building the system? And it's probably easier to build a wedding system as far as capacity of people go than it is for other events where you want to fill the space.
Yeah, really. To a point, the most difficult part, I think, with a wedding system is having the ability to cover the guests during the dinner time more than the dance time with the microphone sound. To be able to have a sound system that's going to be able to project the microphone around the room and project it clearly enough so people can hear and understand and comprehend what's being said.
That can be hard. That can be a challenge, especially with the two-way top cabinets, because horns typically have a nice long throw, but you got to crank them to do it. What are you going to do? Bring your bass way down and you don't want your horn to honk at people.
Yeah.
You want it to be a nice smooth sound. I did an event on Saturday for 271 people, a big banquet hall. And now we're going to jump into the array thing. I brought one of the compact array systems.
Sure.
The FBT CS1000 system. And a lot of people had said, oh, that's only good for up to maybe 200, and that's pushing it. I disagree. I think you can do 300 with it easily. But there was a big presentation where the president of the company talked for quite a while, and then they had a big gift giveaway. And I think there have been times during, and I've done this party several times over the last probably 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've probably done it 5 times, 5 out of the 20 that they've had it. There have been times where it's been difficult to get the speaker somewhere and turn them up and make it so everyone in the room can hear what's going on. And as you know, not everybody who you hand a microphone to knows how to use it.
Very much so.
They're holding it way out here, they're holding it way, down, and it's like, and then they turn it up. It's like, no, they gotta put it closer to their mouth. It's not a magic stick. You don't talk with your hand, you talk with your mouth. You got to get it to your mouth to be able to hear it. Boy, that little CS1000, those little arrays that were in that thing, everybody could hear fine.
Yep.
Everybody in the room could hear perfect, and it wasn't honking because there's no horn. It's all full range speakers. It was smooth, it was clear, but it wasn't overbearingly loud. So those little compact arrays are wonderful for toasts and speeches and presentations, even for large crowds, especially if they're sitting. It helps. I mean, if they were standing, it might have been a little worse, but now they're up high enough. It'd still be pretty good.
Sure.
No, it worked very well. And I would have struggled trying to get that to work as well with a two-way top cabinet, with the room that I had and the way people were sitting in the room.
So let's spend a couple of seconds here because this is now we're going to get to that line array versus standard top cab. And Brian, of course, was explaining the biggest difference is that throw. Line arrays, because of the way they have those cones set, is that you're getting that linking we talk about when it comes to subwoofers, where you have two subwoofers together, they kind of link together or join, what have you, couple. And you get a 3 dB gain. You get a similar thing when it comes to the highs in certain frequencies, and you will get a longer throw with the line array, and you will get a wider dispersion with that line array than you will.
It's the dispersion that is just
stands
it's
out.
That and the sound quality that gets me.
Yeah, those really make those stand out. That's why they use line arrays at different events, and you will see them in a big curve, is because when they're all put together like that, they will give you a long throw, and they will be able to cover the area very, very well compared to a standard horn and the sub or the woofer of that, which are going to never pair up properly and just give you kind of a, like a better way to describe it, kind of a mess in your sound. So for the right applications, each can do things that the other cannot to a point. Right.
And that's kind of where I was going to go with this. Those, like the little, what is it? We've got the Evolve 50 from EV.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the new compact array systems. You have the CS1000. RCF has the Evolve our Evox 5, 8, and 12. The HK's got them, Turbo Sound's got them, JBL's got them, American Audio's got one. Everybody's got one,
Yeah.
Or two, or more. I think it's the wave of the future for the wedding DJ, where you want that hot spot, you want the clear, vocals for speeches and toasts and things. I'm not a fan of a horn in general. Horns are designed to be loud,
Yep.
but not necessarily sound great. I mean, think about the horn in your car. What does that sound like? Or the alarm on a car.
Sounds
Is that a
fabulous.
pleasant sound? No, but you can hear it from a long distance. That's like a horn and a speaker to me. I mean, they're not all created equal. I totally understand that. But by design, they're long throw, that they want to. It's not for sitting here and listening to my TV in front of me. I mean, that would make me deaf because they're just too loud and they throw far. Whereas the full range is such a smooth sound. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the fact that I'm not putting a giant two-way top cab on top of a tripod. That's a difficult thing for a guy like me to do.
Oh, for
and
sure.
a lot of people. I mean, some are heavy, Some of you are looking around 15s are like, breaking my back. Well, yeah, of course. You're lifting this thing up in the air and pulling it. It's going to hurt. So that's a nice advantage. It's a smaller footprint and it's a smoother sound and that dispersion, which you mentioned. In a typical two-way top cabinet, you're looking at, and they vary. This isn't, they're all, not all exactly this. They do vary, but for the most part, you're looking at a 60-degree dispersion.
Yeah.
Sound about right to you?
40 by 90 here is kind of a common number. So you may get some that are 60 by 80, but you're not getting line array dispersion in any way, shape, or form.
On these little column array systems, with these little compact arrays, you look like 110.
Yeah. 110, 120. I think I've seen 130 on some of them. I mean, that's getting very, very wide when you really stop to think about it. 180 degrees is basically a plane, and you're just coming off that just a little bit. And so you're really getting those highs and that clarity and intelligibility going to the sides much more.
If this was a two-way speaker, which it's not, it's a phone, just so you know. For those of you who are not technical people, this is a phone. Anyway, they're very directional. You point them in a direction, that's where the sound goes. So if you're right in front of this, you hear it really well. The further away you get from it, you can do the side to side, because of that dispersion. You're going to hear it fine. Where you run into a problem is when you're next to it, or, behind it, obviously, but next to it, because that 60 degrees is going to come out and miss you. If you are at an event like a wedding reception where they're doing toasts and speeches, and the room is designed where you have a dance floor in front of you, and then you have people sitting next to you or kind of to the side of the dance floor, which happens.
Yep.
Happened in my gig this last weekend. It's a floor plan. It's not a terrible floor plan either. It's a floor plan that should work, but it's really hard to hear what's going on when those speakers are aimed straight out.
Yep.
Turn them or something, and then you might miss somebody else over here up front if you do that. Not a problem with these compact arrays because it goes out 110, 120 degrees. Everybody's hearing everything crystal clear. It's so cool. And it's not particularly loud because you're not doing that long throw like the horns. You're doing the full range. So it's much smoother. It's more even with the bass. And it's not honking at anybody. So they're just wonderful. But like John said, you can't do everything with these.
Yeah.
You're not going to bring these into a 500 kid school dance successfully. Not these compact array systems. And if you talk about the traditional line arrays that you hang from your trussing and all that, it's kind of unfeasible. Some people are doing it, and I understand that, and good for you. But the more feasible way to do this is with the two-way tops.
Yep, and we're back to that.
That are more capable. So everything has an application, essentially. And I really don't see the need to bring even a compact array system to an event with 50 or 60 people. Can I? Yeah, I can, but that's a smaller two-way top as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, see, I think I would go. I kind of, and I've done that with a compact array for I think it was 12 people was my smallest event. I ended up going that route because I only brought one, and I was
Right.
able to go set it up.
Run it mono or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you ran it. I put it over in a corner, ran that, and it was really just filled the whole room, which is really what I was after. I knew that dispersion and room filling of that line array was going to be the most attractive, so that we had that rich, warm sound all the way around, which was great.
The coolest thing I've ever done for a small party, and it was about 60 people. It was a 12-inch subwoofer, and I'll show you the speaker. It's over here. Let me get it.
Yeah.
By far the coolest thing I've ever done for a small party.
Somebody asked if you use an extra sub with the compact arrays. My extra sub
I
with.
dropped it. Give me a second.
Don't do that.
On one hand, it happened.
When I had the Bose, before the Bose came out with the, the B1, you had the other subs. So I had my Bose L's, the L1s there, and I decided I was going to put some 18s under it. So we ran 2 of the L1s, one on each side, and we ran dual 18 subs under those to give it some extra bass. And oh my gosh, that was a really cool show. It had the dispersion of the line array, it had the bass of an 18, and the problem I had with that particular show is that it was way too easy to push that thing way beyond what the guests were comfortable with. It's like, wow, this is really loud, but yeah, it's cool, man. It's really cool. Okay, what do you got?
So I took a single 12-inch subwoofer and ran 2 lines in and 2 lines out.
Okay.
Now the 2 lines in, you run them stereo, so it's taking all the sub level frequencies from both the left and the right channel. And then when it's inside of that subwoofer, as most of you know, there's an active crossover in there that's creating a low pass filter that's going out to your top cabs. So you're crossing over the frequency. The subwoofer isn't taking any of the highs and mids, and the top cab isn't taking any of the sub bass. I used a pair of these little bitty guys right here.
Yeah, your FPT8s, yeah?
This is an no. This is an FPT J5A.
Oh.
A 5-inch speaker.
Oh, okay. It's a little tough to tell.
It's powered. Yeah, it's dark. Let me turn the light on.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Wow, that's bright, isn't it?
Yeah, wow.
Holy man, let's not do that. I'm blue now.
Hey, wait a second.
Blue.
You don't look 25 anymore.
Okay, so this guy right here, this is what I used. And if you look really close, well, you can't see it because of light. Anyway, there's no horn in there. That is a dome tweeter.
Yeah.
So nothing haunted anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so smooth. And there was so much bass. It filled the room very nicely. Even during conversation, people could hear the music they wanted to hear, during dinner. But it wasn't too loud. It wasn't honking. And then when it was time to crank it up, we obviously could. These produce a lot of sound, but they don't produce any bottom end at all. I mean, none. Period. It's a 5-inch woofer. What are you going to do? These are actually built for I don't know, museums and anywhere you just need a speaker for like a PA system, a zoo maybe. But I used them for that application. I told FPT I was going to do this, and they told me it wasn't going to work. But I proved them wrong. It worked just fine. And it sounded great. The people at the event were like, I want to buy those speakers. Of course, the fun part was I had these mounted on tripods. And it's all anybody could see because I put that 12-inch sub under the table. Mm-hmm. So they were freaking out. Like, how is that making that sound?
Yep.
Of course, you don't tell them. You got to have a little bit of magic, But yeah, it's cool. It was cool. That was the coolest little system I ever built.
My equalizer.
Huh? Yeah. It's just special.
I've got this app on my phone. You see, and it makes the bass really sound great.
But it was tons and tons and tons of fun to do that little system. And a lot of times when I'm doing these smaller events, like maybe around 100 people, I'll just bring a good pair of 10-inch tops, and that's fine. I don't need more than that at most events. Even a little over 100 sometimes. If I'm just trying to create that dance floor hotspot, it's fine. But I think the most versatile system out there right now, if somebody were to say to me, look, Bri, I do 100-person weddings, and sometimes I'm doing 500 kids school dance. Mm-hmm. And I need a system that's going to do both of those things well for me.
Oh boy.
There is a system that I would point them to.
Okay.
and that would be the EKX from EV. I think that would be the right system for those people.
Yeah.
Because it'll do the smaller parties with the like a 12-inch top.
Mm-hmm.
You can bring a pair of 12-inch tops to any party, and just mind your volume, and you're fine. They'll take care of the larger wedding events, and they are probably just going to take care of your 500 kid school dances too. If you add a subwoofer, you have even more.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very, very versatile system. People talk about that ETX all the time. I mean, that's the big superhero that everybody wants. Everybody wants that system. That is, I don't know what I would compare it to. It's almost like I don't know, what's really popular, John? You have kids. I don't know. It's the one that everybody wants. It's the cool one, you know. It's got a Hemi in it, right?
Boy, there we go. Yeah, no, that was. We're so
I'm trying.
Yeah, we're so old and out of.
That system's very overpowered for your smaller events. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing too much system to these smaller events if you're bringing ETXs into a 150-person wedding reception. This isn't the ideal system. It's too much.
Yeah.
But that system's wonderful for, what do you say, 350 all the way up to 1,000 people, perhaps?
Yeah, it definitely can cover.
It's capable.
Yeah, it's very capable.
But
David,
that EKX.
Go
Sorry?
ahead. Go ahead. I've got a question here. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay. But no, just some thoughts on it. I think that's a very versatile system. If you're doing a lot of, smaller weddings, but then you're also maybe doing half school dances, not 1,000 kid school dances, but 500 kid school dances. I think that's a really nice system. Personally, I think that's a cool one.
Sure.
And it's priced right too, so you're not going to break the budget.
Somebody was asking about Avante speakers a little bit. We're talking 12-inch speakers. On the other side, if I took my phone and walked you over there, you would see, I think I've got 6 of them set up over on the other side right now. I've got Cerwin-Vega, Mackie, and we've got 2 EV that are over there right now. I've got the ETX and the EKX. The Pioneer is coming, and there's one more 12 that's coming. So there are 7 different brands of 12-inch cabinets over there, and we're going to be doing comparisons and such of those speakers to give you guys an idea of how they sound compared to each other. Not that you're going to be able to actually hear and say, oh my God, the bass from this one is outstanding. What you're going to be able to do is listen and say, okay, I can hear that there's a difference between this one, and this one sounds like it's giving me more bass with the exact same track playing at the exact same volume. That's what we're going to be doing. The new Cerwin-Vega. Yes, we've got the new Cerwin-Vega. We've got the new Mackie with the Bluetooth and linking capability. We've got the new 12-inch Art series. I think it's the 712. I want to say from RCF. The new Avante, obviously, that's a brand new cabinet. And then we've got the new ELX 200 coming in. And that, Brian, that's actually kind of a wild card as we're talking about the system we'd recommend. Because I agree, the EKX, I have those, and I absolutely love those. The wild card from Electro Voice is that ELX, the new one at the
I've heard a lot of things, yeah.
Because I've heard great things, and they sounded really good at DJ Expo. So I'm really kind of excited. Next week, those should be arriving, and to get my hands on those, because as someone pointed out, weight-wise, they are less than the EKX.
Right.
Now, they're obviously there's going to be a difference in ETX has their and then and they're going to have some kind of a progression. But I'm really kind of excited to hear those cabinets for the first time live.
Yeah. Now, somebody asked me about Avante in here too.
Yeah, they were talking Avante.
I'm going to be demoing them. I'll have to get back to you on that. And the reason being is not that I'm unwilling to. It's just that I need to make nice with the person who's heading that project to see if they want me to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not who I normally work with over there. It's somebody else who I get along with fine, but I just need to, talk to him and get a game plan and see what we want to do.
Yeah, and Avante is, yes, they're all kind of under the same master, but it's different people than our ADJ context.
It's a group of companies, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the guys over here, these are the people we talk to with ADJ stuff. And over here, the guys we talk to for when we're doing global trust things. And now we have a crew over here that are the Avante people. So
kind of like General Motors.
yeah,
You know, Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC. It's kind of like that. So, you know, I deal with the Chevy guy all the time. The Chevy guy is a good friend of mine, and we talk all the time. But I don't know too much about the Buick guy. I got to talk to the Buick guy and see what he's got to say about the Buick. So I'll get back to you on that. We will definitely know more by NAM.
Oh yeah,
by NAM, and you know what? It's that's going to be when things are going to kind of start over. They're winding down right now. Things start over again for NAM. New products come out. We start talking about new things, and you guys start gearing up for your next season. So we will have a look at Avante. I've heard them. I've done videos on them at DJ Expo, and incredible sounding speakers. And what a value! Such a nice value on those. So definitely check out.
Yeah, definitely something to check out, and that's going to be part of our process is going through and not only listening to them, but putting them in the category of similar speakers of where they go, because there's different price points. I mean, it's not fair for us to compare the top of the line from one company to more of the entry level. So we're going to be making sure that all that is crystal clear. Mentioned Mackie plastic cabinets. Yeah, most of the speakers. I don't know beyond the ETX, maybe the EKX. Everything else is plastic. I don't think. I guess I'm not sure with Pioneer.
On EV, you said Mackie.
Mackies are plastic. RCS plastic. Sherwin Vegas are plastic. Everybody's basically plastic. The PV.
Well, not everything.
Well, but most of the there's a few that aren't, but most of the speakers have gone to that plastic cabinet in the situation. So, but there are some wood ones. Don't get me wrong. And that again, we'll be talking about that. Yamaha speakers. I played with Yamaha speakers. About 2 or 3 years ago, we really had a period of time where we were focusing on some Yamaha cabinets and such. You can go back and watch our videos. They haven't changed. They still have the DXR, the DSR series of speakers, and they, for their different applications, they are right there. It's just they are 3, 4, 5 years old, where a lot of the companies have come out with new speakers here in the last year. And those are the ones that you guys are the most interested is to say, hey, how does this new one compare to this new one? Well, we're going to hopefully give you some information on that.
Yep, always working on it.
Cool.
Always working on it. Always new stuff coming out. Trying to keep up. Trying to show you guys neat stuff. I try to show you stuff that I like. If I don't like it, I don't show it to you. But that doesn't mean just because I'm not showing it to you that I don't like it. But what I can tell you is I'm not showing you things that are junk.
Yeah.
If I show it to you, I definitely like it. There are other things that I am trying to get my hands on. So, yeah.
So wood does sound better in plastic to some extent. They're having some plastic boxes out there that they've really put some technology into it that really you wouldn't hear a difference in. But overall, the rule of thumb is that a wood box will have a warmer sound because it directs everything more out the front rather than letting it flex and kind of go out the back a little bit.
And that's so negligible as far as I'm concerned if you're running a three-way system for most applications. I feel it is. I mean, you're getting your good tight sub bass out of a birch cabinet typically. You're not getting a plastic subwoofer most of the time. They do exist, but most of the time that's not what you're getting.
I can't even think of anyone who's making a plastic sub.
Somebody used to.
Yeah, I remember somebody did. Oh, and I know when we're as Ben and I were talking, we mentioned the basement of NAM. They exist in the basement of NAM. I've seen them down there.
Yeah.
You can find anything down there. Here's some plastic subwoofers that have lights and balloons. Woo! Yeah, they're all there.
So EV sub versus. No, I can't riff on that. I'm not familiar with all of that stuff, Eddie. I apologize.
Eddie, I'm going to have both of those. I have the ZXA1 sub and the ELX 200 subs are coming in next week, and we're going to do that. We're going to sit down, put them both together, and we're going to see if there's any difference. Because my question is if I have one and I buy a second one, will the two match up that I could use both of them at the show and not have to buy two of that if I wanted to go that route? So that's going to be one of those videos that we will dig into. Okay, let's take a quick little break here, and we're going to come back and do our drawing, and then we'll kind of wrap up our show here in just a minute. We're doing our 12 DJ Gifts of Christmas this week. For this week's show and next week's shows, we're going to be giving away one larger prize each night. Our prize we're going to be giving away is the Newmark Party Mix Pro, which is the kind of controller, a little bit of light show, a little bit of a speaker, so you can do all your practicing, and you can go out and have the kids do a small backyard party, and it's all right there. We're also going to be giving away 3 months of full downloads from the RPM Top Hits USA website. So you can get a sampling of their music services, which RPM is one of the original services that has been serving the DJ industry for a number of years, and gets you some of those clean edits that we are always talking about you get from the music services. So we'll be right back with our drawing for tonight. So those are the sponsors for our 12 DJ Gifts of Christmas. Please show them some love, because those sponsors and our sponsors for our regular shows, those are the companies that help us continue to do these things for you on DJNTV and our different channels. So, okay. So we're giving away the Newmark Party Mix Pro and a 3-month download subscription from Top Hits USA or RPM, which you see them at the different DJ conventions and such. That is going to Cheryl Firestone from JD Productions and Quality DJ Entertainment. So congratulations, Cheryl. I've got your email here, and I will send you an email to get your information and get that stuff all connected with you sometime a little bit later this week. So yay, congratulations, Cheryl.
Right on. Congratulations, Cheryl.
Signing up, thank you. Thank you, DJ Fish there. The way you sign up, I've got a bug in the office for some reason tonight. I don't know why it's happening. Go to discjockeynews.com/holidays. That's where we have the sign up for the drawings and such. We're going to be doing, we've got more prizes tomorrow night. We've got tomorrow's shows, and then Monday we're taking off of next week, actually. And the reason for that is because it's my children's band concert. 3 of them are in this Christmas concert. And, I have not hit a concert of theirs this year. They've had plays, they've had concerts, and they've been on Mondays and Tuesdays.
What kind of father are you?
So I'm taking the 18th off. It's like, you know what? We'll come back with shows the next night, but I'm going to get to go and spend the evening with my children. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but yeah, next Tuesday and Wednesday, we've got shows, and then we'll be doing a special show on Thursday going through Promo Only's top 50 songs for 2017. So it's going to be a busy and fun couple of weeks here with our different things we're doing.
Right on. Sounds good. Who's doing the Promo Only show with you?
Right now, I think Jeremy and I are going to we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I was going to talk to you after the show and see what you're doing next Thursday night. So
I can come, but I know who you need to have on.
Well, I wanted to have three people to talk about it, because you would have one perspective, I have one perspective, and Jeremy actually does high school dances on a regular basis. This guy's like crazy busy with high school dances, so I figured. But we'll talk about that more and see if it will work into your schedule.
I can always work you into my schedule.
Awesome. So yeah, system lagging. I hope not. No, I think we're doing pretty well here with our streams and such. They seem to be going well tonight. So yeah, I think the moral of tonight's show is that having the proper speakers for your event, while is important, isn't a make or break deal. Is that a good way to say it?
No, but we'll go with it.
No, thanks for that. You're just gonna. Yeah, no, you're full of crap. You don't know what you're talking about.
Boost the confidence.
Yeah. Next time, I'm not going to say anything. So the moral of our story is tonight. But no, finding the right speakers is an important thing. And I know I've been to DJ conventions when people are coming up to Ben and asking questions, or they're coming up to Brian Marsh at IDJ now, and they're like, "Hey, what would you recommend?" And to a point, as a gear dealer, that must be like one of their pet peeves. It's like coming up to a parent and saying, "So, which one of your children which one do you like the most?"
Yeah, it's kind of, well,
tough.
I get it all the time, but sometimes what ends up happening is it's just this very general question. It's like saying, what kind of car should I buy?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Are you single? Are you married? Do you have kids? How many kids? Does your wife drive? Does your wife work? Do your kids drive? How
Yeah.
old are your children? Do you deal with snow? Do you have to, or do you live in Phoenix, Arizona? There are a lot of follow-up questions that you need to ask to really give that answer. Wouldn't it be bizarre if I could just like blurt out a speaker to just people? It's like I would spin a wheel next to my desk and like whatever it landed on, that's what I would tell them they should buy, with like no information about how they're going to be using this stuff.
Oh,
So yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Oh, looks like you need the Radio Shack realistic speakers. That's what you need. That's what you should buy.
Yay, that's such an upgrade from my old JBLs that, could handle 1,000 people. But Radio Shack.
Yeah, these are better.
These
are better. You should buy them out of the white van in
Down.
the grocery store parking lot. Whatever they have, buy that. That's good.
That's going to be the
So
best.
yeah, they just don't ask, or they don't give you any information. Well, what should I buy? Then you have to go through this whole, detective thing with them.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What type of events do you do? How many people are at your events? How much do you want to spend?
Yeah.
Do you do other types of events? If so, how large are these events?
And then
But yeah, if you're only doing, it depends.
yeah, and then you get and then you get the guy saying, "Well, I'm hoping for something that has like 10,000 watts."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that means everything.
That does.
Yeah, I'm looking for a car that gets 3 miles to the gallon. Why? I don't know. Because I am. I will say this. If you are only doing one type of event, you can buy a system that's ideal for that type of event and be done.
That's true.
It's very easy. So if you're only doing 150-person wedding receptions, there's a system you can buy that's going to be ideal for 150-person wedding receptions. Ideal. Or a type of system that you can buy. If you're doing 50-person backyard barbecues, 100-person wedding receptions, 150-person anniversary parties, 300-person quinceañeras, 500 kid junior high school dances, and 1,200 kid high school proms, there's not a one speaker for you. Not ideally. There's not one system for you. So these are the kind of things you got to think about. And one thing that I will also say in closing this video, let's say that you are the 100 to 200 person wedding reception DJ. A lot of us are. It's what most of our work is. And once a year, you do that 1,000-person homecoming dance. Do you buy a speaker system for this? You could, or you could rent.
Yeah.
You could rent this. You don't need to own this. You're not using it enough to own it. This is something that you could rent. So there's another just thought for you there.
I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, we'll send it there.
Yeah, Brian, thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow evening. We've got a full slate of shows. I think we start tomorrow night. Let me just get you the exact.
John will be back. I won't be back.
Yeah, we'll be starting tomorrow night. It is, I believe, we're going to start at 9 o'clock Eastern. So we have two shows tomorrow night. We'll be talking to Chris Hintz and his path that he has taken to going from a smaller DJ company to one of the larger ones in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, larger and more successful ones, and his personal journey. And then, of course, we've got Wedding Chat with Jeremy Breck and Dave Tournier. So we'll catch you tomorrow night. Thank you guys for watching. Good night, everyone.